We're going to go back a little bit farther on the grid. David Malukas started on the pole in yesterday's race, had a very impressive podium finish, but behind him, starting in the 4th position, it's the pride of Canada, right out of Red Deer, Alberta, Parker Thompson. You're driving for a Canadian-based team, Exclusive Autosport. You know, you kind of have had a little bit of a quiet start to the year, podiums to pepper him in a few different places. We're here at Road America. What's your outlook for this race outside row number 2 starting position? Can you get up there and give these guys a run for their money today?
I think so, Tony. You know, we're one of the only teams that never got any test time here at Road America. So my Exclusive Autosport boys have done a fantastic job getting a car prepared that's ready to go compete for a race win here today.
Parker, you're having fun here this weekend on track at Road America. You doing anything fun, a little bit enjoyable, having some cheese off track?
Well, I am a fine connoisseur of cheese, so I've been enjoying some Wisconsin cheese curds while I'm here. Fortunately, not old enough to enjoy the beer that Wisconsin has to offer, but I can't wait to continue to race here at Road America. Honestly, one of my favorite places to race. It's an awesome track, and the Mazda Road to Indy does a great job and puts on a great show here.
Parker, thanks so much for stopping and talking to us. You're starting 4th. We hope to see a good race out of you, buddy. Good luck, and thanks for the time as always.
Thank you, Tony. Looking forward to giving the fans some worth for their money.
All right, Parker Thompson, he's starting 4th, and Parker hits on a great point, folks. He is under the age of 21 years old. He can't enjoy a spotted cow like all of us do when we come here to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. In the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship powered by Mazda, we have the youngest drivers competing here this weekend. Parker Thompson, for example. Heck, we've got Kalen Fredericks driving for Team Pelfrey. He's not even 15 years old, and he's out here flying around the track at over 100 miles an hour. This is the first step young drivers take on their climb to the Verizon Indy Car Series. If they win the championship here, they race Pro Mazda. They win the championship there, they're racing Indy Lights. And if they win the championship there, they're right into the Verizon Indy Car Series. So, folks, we're getting ready to go with round number 8 of the 2017 season. We're going to go to Rob Howden for the starting grid here at Road America.
But for the moment, the name is
so much.
A.J. Boyd.
Again, thanks to Tony Laporta for giving us some interviews here to kick things off as we have the drivers on the very first rung of this Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Again, these drivers getting ready to roll out here for race number 2. In race 1, Rinus VK was able to score his first career Mazda Road to Indy victory. We'll see if he's able to go back-to-back here today. But there are 18 other hungry young lions looking to dethrone him and step to the top rung of the podium themselves. Let's have a look at the grid as we have 19 drivers set to go here today. Starting 19th on the inside of row number 10, it'll be the RJB Motorsports driver. Menard sponsorship on the number 20 of Chandler Horton, the rookie driver starting in the 19th position. Moving now to row number 9, starting on the outside, the Canadian veteran Jason Clooney for Exclusive Autosports. Clooney driving the black and red number 93. Inside of that row, starting in the 17th position, keep an eye on this young driver. He's been able to work his way forward in virtually every race this year. The rookie Devin Wojcik for Arms Up Motorsports starting in the 17th position. Wojcik behind the wheel of the gray number 7. Moving now to row number 8 on the outside, a very quick young lady out of Brazil, Bruna Tomaselli for Arms Up Motorsports in the number 97 will start in the 16th position. And alongside Bruna, Dev Gore from St. Petersburg, Florida in the Exclusive Autosport number 92. Row number 7 now, starting on the outside, the first driver from India ever to podium in Mazda Road to Indy competition, Ricky Donison in the Cape Motorsports number 2, starting 14th. He was on the podium on the road course at Indianapolis. Today will be starting from the 14th position. Inside of row number 7, a driver fresh off a race win in the FIA F4 Mexican Series. It's Moises de la Vera for DE Force in the number 12, starting 13th. Moving now to row number 6, starting on the outside, it will be Colin Kaminsky in the John Kaminsky Racing Prep number 27. Kaminsky starting in 12th. And on the inside, the second of our DE Force drivers out of Texas, Corey Enders in the number 11, starting 11th. Into the top 10 now, a couple of young rookie drivers fresh out of the karting ranks. Starting in the 10th position for Newman Walks Racing in the number 36 is Darren Keene. Good qualifying effort for Darren, a 2:11.878. And alongside a driver making his first career start here in the Mazda Road to Indy, Jacob Loomis, the rookie in the number 82 for Team Pelfrey. Up in now into row number 4, a couple of second-year drivers in the series. Team Pelfrey's Robert McGinnis in the number 80 will start in the 8th spot, last year's Rookie of the Year and the winner from St. Petersburg this year. And on the inside, driver getting his first podium just yesterday, Lucas Cole in the number 23 for Pabst Racing, starting in the 7th spot. Pelfrey on the outside, Pabst on the inside. Same for row number 3, as it'll be Kalen Frederick, multi-time podium finisher this year, the 15-year-old rookie starting the yellow number 81-6. While on the inside, it'll be Calvin Ming in the number 22 for Pabst Racing. Ming, a rookie here this year, starting in the 5th spot. Moving now to row number 2, starting on the outside, the Canadian driver who was the runner-up last year in the series for Exclusive Autosport, multi-time USF 2000 winner Parker Thompson in the number 90, driver out of Red Deer, Alberta, Canada, starting in the 4th spot. While on the inside, a very impressive young rookie who put the car on the pole yesterday and ended up finishing in 2nd for BN Racing, David Malukas in the number 79, starting in 3rd. 19 drivers in the field. We'll put 2 on the front row. Off pole, 5 wins already this year, and your point leader now. He won the $200,000 Mazda Scholarship Shootout, now running for Cape Motorsports in the Soul Red Mazda number 3. Oliver Askew of Jupiter, Florida, starting 2nd with the driver. On the pole now, trying to win another race here today. He got his first race win yesterday. Rinus VK from the Netherlands in the Pabst Racing Jumbo sponsored number 21 will start on the pole. It'll be VK and Askew on row 1, Malukas and Thompson on row 2, Ming and Frederick row 3, Cole and McGinnis row 4. Row 5 will be Loomis and Keene. Row 6, Enders and Kaminsky. Row 7, De Oliveira and Donison. Row 8, Gore and Tomaselli. Row 9, Wojcik and Clooney. And on the 10th row of the grid, Chandler Forkin. Ready to go here for the command to fire up these Mazda MZR power plants. Chuck Weck here with me on pit lane to fire these engines. Give us those words that we want, the most famous words in racing, as we are about set to fire up 19 Mazda power plants to put these drivers on the racetrack for the second race of their doubleheader. Here it is, the call to start.
Drivers, start your Mazda engines.
Yes, engines coming to life here on pit lane. 19 drivers on the very first run of the Mazda Road to Indy, ready to fire things up. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The youngest drivers of the program about to hit the track for competition. Let's head it back upstairs to Eric Mueller.
Thank you very much, Rob Howden. We are set to go for the Cooper Tire USF 2000 Grand Prix of Road America, powered by Mazda. This field is ready to cycle around. Can Oliver Askew make up some ground of the points that he lost in the points lead to Rinus VK yesterday? Yesterday, basically the problem with Oliver was that he ran across the curbing and the bolts on the right front had come loose. He had a very bad vibration and had to come to pit lane, which really just caused him to lose a bunch of ground in the points. The point lead diminished quite considerably. Still has a pretty big lead, but obviously now that is a race for the championship if anything else would happen. That's kind of the one, maybe not necessarily giveaway moment, but that is a kind of a giveaway position for Oliver Askew in the points lead, as he gave up a lot of ground to Rinus VK, who is seemingly coming on and finding pace as this season progresses. VK and Askew start in the front row, Malukas and Thompson in row 2. Row 3, Ming and Frederick. Frederick had a couple of offs during the practice sessions earlier in the weekend, and some drivers are struggling a little bit in turn 14. Turn 14 was the hot spot in this morning session. Again, from old pavement to new pavement, and a little bit of bump there, as you heard Rob Howden say during the Indy Lights broadcast earlier. It's just simply an issue where you've got a lot of grip, and then the grip goes away. Even on the exit to 14 with that new pavement to old pavement. So not only an entrance issue, but an exit issue in 14. We've seen a couple of cars go around. Turn 5 also been a little bit of a hot spot with that huge passing opportunity as well. Rinus VK Askew leading the field here in the Cooper Tire USF 2000, powered by Mazda Field. 30-minute timed event, our race number 2 of the weekend for these USF 2000 competitors. And we are about to go green on another beautiful Saturday here at America's National Park of Speed, Road America. It's the 2017 Kohler Grand Prix weekend. The field now lines up 2 by 2, and coming off at turn 14, this start is green, and everybody single file at the front half of the field here, Rob, to start.
Very surprised to see us go green that early, but again, Alexis Hartel, one of our guests from Mazda, throwing the green flag. It was out there, and they got lined up pretty quick, but again, it's always that big run. It may look like they're single file at the start, but man, it'll always stack up when they get to turn number 1 for the first time. Let's hope they get through cleanly here. Driver's doing a great job. Talked to Oliver Askew a little bit earlier, and he said he really tries to stay away from the curbing here. They're watching the camber shims on these cars where they're bouncing over the curbing. That's what's happening. These camber shims are popping up a little bit, and that's what happened to Oliver. The one popped out, gave him that big vibration there in the left front. So he had to be very gentle as he found the issue coming into the kink, which you do not want to have an issue at. Drivers now working their way down to turn number 5 for the first time as they get that long straightaway under the Sargento Bridge. Looks to be like David Malukas, I think, has gotten to the lead. Malukas from P3 goes to the lead early. They're up over turn number 6 now. And to get a big shout out to everyone listening on the Mazda Road to Indy app. We're thrilled to have you with us. You may be on IndyCar Race Control as well. The very first rung of the Mazda Road to Indy. The young drivers just taking their first steps of trying to get to the Verizon IndyCar Series. And we have a talented group of drivers here this weekend. Man, aggressive down into turn number 8, the hurry down section. A couple drivers up and over the curbing. In fact, I think a couple drivers might have been in the grass there. We'll give you, of course, a full field rundown when we come back by the stripe. But some pretty hardcore racing here early on. Drivers settling in further back. Finally, Eric, as we get down through the kettle bottoms now. We were 2 wide, 3 wide, 6, 7, and 8.
Not a place that you want to go 3 wide here is in through the kink and through the back half of the racetrack, because we've got somebody off.
That's one of the DE Force cars, yeah. Either Enders or De La Vera going off at the exit of Canada corner. And interesting, Eric, that you mentioned how treacherous that corner is. We got a shot here on the screen, and I think 3 or 4 guys went off. First, it was Renus VK a little further. Then one of the Pelfrey drivers well into the off there, which is nicely paved now. At one point, it was all just gravel. The first maybe 30 feet is still pavement, so you can go off and come back on. And then again, we saw either De La Vera or, let's see, it is indeed De La Vera falling down the order to the very tail of the field. David Malukas, I think, is a really interesting story here now, Eric, because here's a young driver fresh out of international karting. He won a U.S. karting championship at the Superkarts USA Pro Tour, went to Europe and excelled in Europe as well, running in the IAME International Final and some major races in Europe. Comes over here with a team assembled of essentially karting veterans, karting engineers, mechanics, and staff. But I think the key is that he's been working with Victor Franzoni. We'll see Victor in the Pro Mazda category. He won yesterday. He had a chance to shake this car down here at Road America, help them set a baseline, and has been coaching young David Malukas as well. And it's just paying off in spades for this team as he now leads a couple of very impressive drivers, Renus VK and Oliver Askew.
I believe that VK is actually your leader now. Looks like he got the lead out of 3.
Contact with drivers at the exit of turn number 6. That, I think, is going to be a red flag. I don't see anybody get moving there as cars collected at the exit of turn number 6. Maybe a T-bone, you think, someone getting into the side of someone up there.
Yeah, it looked like one of the Pelfrey cars, perhaps.
Indeed, it was a Pelfrey car. Not hard to pick out that brilliant yellow of the Team Pelfrey cars. I would not be surprised to see us go red, but looking at Tom Hansing right now, the yellow flag coming out first. We may just go full course yellow. Indeed, we will. Full course yellow. So a full course yellow here for the incident in turn number 6. We were able to go clean and green through race number 1.
It's Loomis and Keene.
There you go. Good update there from Eric. A couple of young drivers right out of the karting ranks. Darren Keene and Jacob Loomis. Loomis in his very first run here in the USF 2000 program is running as well at the F4 series. And he gets some contact. He and Keene getting together at the top of turn number 6. And turn 5, that long run down the straightaway, downhill braking, left-hander. You got to try to stay off the rumbles because it's pretty rough on these light USF 2000 cars. But Eric, you've seen it so many times. When you climb the hill under the bridge and it's a blind left-hand corner, you'll see drivers get aggressive there. Because if you get a better run out of 5, that's where you can pounce and take advantage.
You know, a lot of drivers will take the advantage on the outside of turn 5 because you're side by side. Somebody's diving to the inside trying to maybe get some momentum on the entry to the corner. But what happens is you put yourself on the outside heading up the hill into 6.
Agreed.
And what happens is that guy on the outside will squeeze down, and who's ever on the inside, it's a very common very common to make actual wheel-to-wheel contact there, and that's what really upsets the balance and possibly what happened back in 6.
Yeah, to me, I think you're probably right. I'm not sure if we're going to get a chance to get a replay on this or not, but we can speculate looking at essentially the way the cars ended up. As it happened, it looked like Loomis was completely sideways and maybe a kind of a T-bone connection. So you'd have to think Keane was on the inside, Loomis on the outside, trying to come back across to pinch. And based on just the way they ended up being T-boned, you'd have to think that Keane was probably far enough inside to have the position. Loomis just didn't want to give it up. Because if he would have been any further back, it would have been a complete spin. If they'd been side by side, the driver would have been just shuffled off the track. So tough to see two young drivers here who were looking for good events, good results, find themselves now at the tail of the field. And it remains to be seen whether or not either driver with damage to the car.
Sounded like they were hooked together fairly well as well.
Rinus VeeKay now, your leader in the number 21. Let's give you the rundown here after a couple of laps. Rinus VeeKay is your leader. David Malukas in second. Oliver Askew third. Thompson now in the fourth position. Frederick in fifth. Robert McGinnis in sixth spot. Calvin Ming in seventh. Colin Kaminsky in eighth. Ninth is Lucas Cole, and 10th is Corey Enders. 11th now Devin Wojcik. Remember, Wojcik started back in the 17th spot. He's now up into the 11th position. Dev Gore now runs in 12th. Ricky Donison in 13th. Bruno Tomaselli 14th. Chandler Horton 15th. Jason Clooney in 16th. De Oliveira, after the incident, the spin in turn 14, now in 17th spot. And as Eric had mentioned, the two drivers involved, Jacob Loomis in the yellow 82 for Team Pelfrey and Darren Keane in the white and orange number 36 for Newman Walks Racing. Drivers now working their way up to turn 6 under the bridge. And there you see a good look at the haulers that are in there. I had hoped that it might have just been easy contact, but with the open wheel nature of these cars, when you get yourself inside a guy like that and to have that kind of contact, not surprising that there could be a potential of damage to both sides. Of course, the right side for Keane and the left side for Loomis.
Well, with these cars, there's not a big blind spot, but there is a little bit of one. So if you stick your nose in there and you're not quite there yet, it's real easy to get the left front or left rear with the right front, especially when you're side by side like that, and just get hooked with the suspension components out. That's the nature of the open wheel cockpit cars. But in this situation, it's unfortunate for Keane and Loomis, because Loomis was kind of leading the charge for Pelfrey for a little bit in the practice session, just simply because the other two cars for Pelfrey were having some problems, some off-track incidents. He was the only one that really didn't have any major issues with contact throughout the practice or the test session, dating all the way back to Thursday. Yeah. So it's a shame there, but. This bringing out the yellow, this kind of changes a little bit of the complexion of the race here, with VeeKay getting the lead coming out of turn 3 just before that full course yellow coming out. Malukas was about probably 5 or 6 car lengths back. VeeKay, though, was on rails yesterday, and I would anticipate that with him starting up front, all the aero advantage of having clean air, it's going to take a mountain to get VeeKay out of that lead.
The only thing about Road America, however, is depending on how or what kind of a start that VeeKay is able to pull coming up the hill, it's such a long run down into turn number 1. If Malukas can mount any kind of a charge, and Askew and Thompson as well, once you get that draft coming down into turn number 1, they'll tuck right up in behind. I would not be surprised to see them spray out 3 to 4 wide by the time we get to turn number 1, simply because that's that slow run up the hill. If somebody punches with this even a little bit early, enough that they're able to get a jump, you're going to see them battle their way all the way up into turn number 1, of course, down to 2 and 3. We will give some props to Jacob Loomis, a young driver making his debut here this weekend in the USF 2000 Championship, and he just did a really solid job staying out of trouble. As you said, was pretty good through practice and qualifying, had a solid run yesterday as well. Tough to see Jacob, again, have that struggle and not be able to get home here today. But again, it's all about experience. It's all about getting out here, getting some track time. And even if you make a mistake, there's so much you can learn from a mistake. And I often say that you'll learn more from your failures than you do your successes. And again, we talk about Jacob having a pretty solid run, 11th place finish yesterday in his debut in the USF 2000 program. We hope to see him back here for more races in 2017 ahead of a potential full program in 2018. That said, Eric, Team Pelfrey still looking pretty good, 5th and 6th at this point. Looking pretty solid up front.
Yeah, Frederick and McGinnis. McGinnis had a great weekend at June Sprints last weekend here at Road America. A lot of lap time, a lot of track time in the June Sprints, just with the 4-day festival there too. So that's going to play into this. More than anything, experience here at a racetrack like this, where it's not necessarily a technical racetrack, but again, all about momentum.
Oh, I agree. And the big thing about Frederick, because McGinnis has that little bit of track time, Frederick was a monster yesterday. Went off, fell all the way back to 13th position, and then was able to fight his way back up all the way to 6th position again. So I think he gained a lot of confidence. Obviously coming in with confidence. He's had 3 or 4, I believe, podium finishes to start the season off already. He seemed to be the guy that was always right behind Oliver Askew. But to be able to fall back like that, then fight your way forward, I think to be able to get a chance to pass some cars, because he really didn't have to do that so far this season. He's got off to a great start, got into second, and ran there for the entire race.
You know, realistically, it takes 2 or 3 seasons to really get comfortable, I think, no matter what you're driving. The first year you're finding your way. You're lost a little bit. You struggle mechanically to find the speed. You make some mental errors, and it puts you out of races. That second year, you can definitely see some growth. And when you get to that third year, that's really the benchmark of what you're looking for in any race car driver. So as these guys progress through the ladder system, though, you can definitely see the confidence and the knowledge they build continues year after year.
The common thought here, the Mazda Road to Indy, most drivers will look at year number 2 as being when they try to get their championship. Of course, year 3, a solid year. That's what we're seeing with Kyle Kaiser now. He's kind of learned a bit through his 3 years. Was able to win last year, but really has become a championship challenger, primary contender here in the Indy Lights. And usually when it comes to USF 2000 and Pro Mazda, we're seeing these guys kind of be ready to win that championship in year number 2. And it depends on which team you're with. Are you with the right crew? Who's your teammate? Because, of course, being impressed by a teammate always good as well, and extra data coming in. Again, though, this year with this brand new car, this USF 17, which we brought out here for this new year, it kind of reset the bar. It really kind of pulled away the extra experience that the sophomore drivers get, and it's kind of given it up for anybody to step up. The rookie Arenas VK being able to win the last race, 5 in a row for the rookie Oliver Askew. We started the season off with the second-year driver Robert McGinnis, last year's Rookie of the Year, winning at St. Petersburg, and I kind of thought, hey, this could be Robert's year. He's going to step up and show us everything he's got. He's the returning sophomore. This kid's going to win some races, but I don't think really anybody would have put the tab on Oliver Askew to be as dominant as he was out of the box.
No, and yesterday that a little bit of a setback. As we said, he ran the rumble strips and had that very bad vibration that cost the team a bunch of positions yesterday. And lost that big point lead he had. It's still there. It's still a big one, but it's a much shorter gap to first to second now, as the lights are out on top of the Mazda safety car. So we're going to go green this time by.
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be an important run here. This is where a guy like David Malukas is going to start trying to put the pressure on VK. Going to try to be right there, stay in the mirrors. He's going to try to be that mosquito in his ear, kind of poking at him, just trying to get him to think about something else before he goes green. You want to have that guy in front thinking about you behind, not that jump. So again, let's see if Malukas can do it.
Mental.
Oh, totally true. And he's going to try to do anything he can to shake Malukas, or rather shake VK here to see if he can't get a better jump. And that's all it takes here, because there's such a run down to turn 1. It's not like some of the other corners where you get the green, you punch off, and you're almost into turn 1. At this point here, man, you're there. It's got this big, long run, and you're going to see drafting as we work our way down to 1. As I said, I would expect to see VK down to the wall. I would expect to see Malukas try to go even deeper into turn 1. This could be interesting, and away we go. Drivers coming out of 14, and we have a green flag here at start-finish. Green, 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 the restart for USF 2000. And here they are. They are lined up. 3 drivers getting the jump. There goes VK down to the wall as I expected. Malukas is going to go to the high side, though, trying to go into turn number 1. Askew right there as well. They'll roll through turn number 1. VK able to hold them off. One driver way off into the extra pavement on the outside of 1. They'll go 2 wide coming down here. Again, VK holding that inside line through turn number 3. And they'll work their way out of 3 under the Sargento Bridge. Kind of the start we expected, Eric.
Definitely a great start there by Arenas VK. David Malukas didn't necessarily get a very good jump, but That's an early restart location here off of 14 this weekend.
Able to get the jump, as we said. VK expertly handling it as he now leads her side by side through turn number 5, back up the hill. Oh, cautions breed cautions. We've heard that before. Let's see if these drivers can stay out of trouble and get this opening lap done cleanly. Through turn number 6, cooler heads prevailed as Malukas tried to make a run around the outside of VK. VK, though, with the inside coming up to turn number 6. That was an advantageous move. Oh, down to the grass. Here comes one of the Pelfrey cars. He's going to go off on the exit, no doubt about it. As that was, I believe, Frederick trying to the inside of Thompson. He put the left side wheels on the grass. Luckily, he didn't go off into the wall. They're continuing to battle through the carousel. Aggressive move for Frederick as Thompson didn't want to give it up either. Frederick, as I said, 2 wheels, the left side on the grass coming down into turn number 8. Was able to get it woed up on the exit. He did make the pass to take the apex, but of course, Thompson wise just to duck back underneath and get a better run over to the carousel. But I'll tell you, he's having to run the inside now. Look at more moves further back. That could be contact there. Oh, indeed. Aggressive move for McGinnis as he gets into the side of Calvin Ming. I'll tell you, gloves are off, Eric, now. These guys are driving each other hard here in USF 2000.
Well, it turns the perfect opportunity to pass, especially when you've got to run to the inside. They were 2 or 3 wide there for just a moment. Everybody kind of back in the line now as VK, Malukas, and Askew continue to kind of pull away from this field. Only about 0.3 of a second between the top 3. It's another half a second back to Thompson, Frederick, and McGinnis. And McGinnis has dropped down a few. Kaminsky's also dropped down a few positions as well.
As I said, aggressive racing. Another big battle down into turn number 1. Parker Thompson getting very aggressive on his defense, trying to hold back a charging Kalen Frederick. Frederick in the yellow car there, 5th in the order, really putting some pressure on the Canadian driver. Last year's runner-up in the USF 2000 program, ran with Cape Motorsports last year, running this year with Exclusive Autosport, a brand new team here on the USF 2000 program, multi-time F1600 championship jumping up here into the Mazda Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. VK, Malukas, Askew, Ming, and Frederick last time by. So indeed it wasn't Thompson. That was actually Calvin Ming across the line. Very similar looking cars, of course, full black livery. So Parker Thompson falling back to the 7th position at the stripe. Wow, aggressive racing here as these young guys trying to fight their way forward. Just outside the top 10, a good fight between Wojcik, Kaminsky, Donison, and Gore.
And we're already down to the final 12 and a half minutes now, Rob.
Laps and time winding down. 30-minute race here for USF 2000. 12 minutes to go. And again, the lead now about 0.3 of a second for Renus VK as he's trying to pull away from Askew. Last time by, VK resets fast lap of the race, so indeed a car to get the job done. As Eric Augie Pabst and his Pabst Racing crew would like nothing better than to sweep the weekend here at their home track at Road America.
Yeah, Augie Pabst's team, no surprise and no strangers to Road America. Very quick here as usual, but you take a look at this. This field is still bunched up. I mean, you've still got within 4 seconds of each other from 1st to 13th. This field is just so tightly packed together. You would have expected them to kind of string out a little bit, but they are certainly trying to stay after it here as Oliver Askew, though, is kind of starting to drift away from the 1st and 2nd position of VK and Malukas. So Askew just kind of minding the 3rd step on the podium right now and almost drifting back to Ming.
Actually listening to the spotters our spotters listening to some radio communication and being told that Frederick complaining of blocking by Ming, and we talked about when I thought it was actually Thompson, it was actually Calvin Ming who was being very aggressive trying to hold back Frederick. Kalen's actually slid back about 0.8 of a second now, so Ming is kind of free to now go to work trying to reel in Oliver Askew. So Calvin Ming in the Pabst Racing number 22, see if he can't move his way into the 3rd step of the podium. And really this could be that turning point here of the season, because 5 races in a row, absolutely dominant was Oliver Askew, the young driver to Jupiter, Florida. Again, winning the $200,000 Mazda scholarship shootout at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca last December. Immediately flew to the PRI show to get that announcement. And he has had a great run thus far, taking full advantage of the scholarship that has put him here into this Mazda Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. leading the points now by 34 markers. It was 60 coming in, but a DNF yesterday, as we said, losing that camber shim in the left front of the car. Everything holding together so far for Oliver, but again, being very wary of the driver behind, putting pressure on now. Calvin Ming, the young pilot out of Guyana, one of the drivers who ran in the F1600 Championship Series last year. Definitely a great training ground for the drivers moving into this USF 2000 Series. We've seen so many great young pilots coming from that F1600 Series and working their way in and showing great success in this program. McGinnis, I believe, going at it with Thompson. I think he may be by. No, that's actually McGinnis with Lucas Cole. So Robert McGinnis in 7th at the Team Pelfrey number 80, battling with the number 23 of Lucas Cole. 3rd place finisher yesterday for Pabst Racing. So Cole now running in the 8th spot, I believe now into the 7th. I think he's been able to get by. And there's Parker Thompson going by. Then there's Cole running in 7th. McGinnis 8th, Corey Enders 9th. And another impressive run for Devin Wojcik. He has showed so well this year. He's kind of been that kid that's always moved forward. Just needs to get qualifying improved a bit, Eric, because he always starts outside the top 10, maybe top 15 even. This day starting in 17th, Wojcik now in 10th position.
Just got to keep continuing to mine the racetrack a little bit. I think he was a little over-aggressive in qualifying, kind of put himself into a position where really abused the tires in that qualifying session, and then got in the gravel trap as well in the test. So starting in the back certainly not helping. If they can put together a good solid qualifying effort, starting a little bit further up front, no question he's going to find himself competing with VK and Malukas very shortly.
He's starting to get there, no doubt about it. And you know, it's something we see at this level. You get a lot of drivers who maybe struggle with pace a little bit, and they really start to overdrive the car. They want to manhandle it. They try to overdrive the car a little bit, and again, they find themselves with issues. Being told right now that a potential issue for Robert McGinnis, he has lost the rear wing. Robert McGinnis losing the rear wing of the machine. Tough one for the driver who scored the win, as we said, in the opening round of the series, Eric, at St. Petersburg. He was in the middle of a really aggressive battle and being told the driver currently 5th in points, maybe coming in.
Looks like the rear wing is there, maybe a front wing.
Being told rear wing on the radio, but again, let's have a look here. We'll keep an eye on the screen. Again, listening in on the spotters, trying to see if we can't get some information for you. Potentially front wing now, as Eric looked up very quickly at our monitors here to see the drivers working their way through. I believe it was turn 8 when we looked up. Hurry down section. Here they're coming through now. Yeah, looking for that next yellow car of the Team Pelfrey entry of McGinnis.
Still not going to help with the downforce
well,
aspect.
If you've lost your front wing, I don't think you're going to be real good going through the kink.
There
Indeed.
it is. It's the front wing.
It's actually the lower wing. He hasn't lost the full nose box, just the lower wing on the car. He is, I believe, going to be coming into pit lane to get a new nose box put on it. Because, you know, we talk about this, Eric, how tough it is heading in to the kink and trying to go flat out, which these drivers do. You lose that front wing and you're going to be very ginger going through there.
You know, these the front wings here aren't necessarily a big aero device, but they certainly are enough that provides mechanical grip, you know, with the aero aspect. Without it, these pushrod suspensions don't really like not having that aero downward force on motion, and that's obviously going to take them out of the running for a win here today. But you know, that team is struggled a little bit this weekend.
The brand new car, this Titus USF 17, the concept was to have a lot less aerodynamic downforce than we had in older cars. The idea was to try to get better bracing, allow the drivers to close up and maybe go through the carousels and not get what we call aero wash. That's when you tuck up behind someone. You're expecting the car to have all that downforce, but when you get into the draft, you lose the air off the front wing and the car just wants to push forward. It wants to snowplow off the track. By getting rid of some of that aerodynamic downforce and then going with more mechanical grip, that was hopefully going to allow more racing. We've seen that. Yes, by losing that front wing, he's not going to lose that much aerodynamic downforce, but what it's going to do is throw the car all off balance, because you still have the rear wing aerodynamic downforce, but you don't have the front wing, and that car's still going to push aggressively. So, again, he's doing a good job, again, is to get off the racetrack, but again, he'll fall down into the 16th position.
I believe Horton and Clooney may have had a meeting of the minds in turn 5. One of the cars up against the tire barrier. Not sure if they can get him around. Yeah, so it is Clooney and Horton.
So those two drivers were battling back there, I believe, for the 14th and 15th position. They find themselves together into the braking zone of turn number 5, the downhill run. And again, doesn't matter where you are on the racetrack, you are racing hard for position, so those drivers getting together. And as we work now lap number 8 with just 5 minutes remaining, let's give you a full field rundown. Rinus VeeKay with the lead, but only 0.7 of a second as David Malukas, the number 79 BN Racing entry, trying to close back up. Oliver Askew runs in third still. VeeKay, though, just reset fast lap of the race at 2:10.5. Stretches the lead to 1.2 seconds, a half a second quicker than Malukas on that last lap. Oliver Askew, as we said, currently in third spot, trying to recover from the DNF from yesterday. Calvin Ming now runs in fourth. Kalen Frederick in fifth. Parker Thompson in sixth spot. Lucas Cole in seventh. Corey Enders eighth. Colin Kaminsky in ninth. Devin Wojcik has worked his way from 17th now up into the 10th spot. Ricky Donison 11th. Dev Gore in 12th. Bruno Tomaselli in 13th. And again, Horton and Clooney 14th and 15th now. The contact between those two drivers, Clooney and Horton, we believe the number 33's front wing, rather than 93's front wing of Clooney, stuck actually right on the car of Horton. So both of those drivers falling down the order. Moises de Oliveira, who spun earlier, likely flat spotted those tires, has held on to 14th position, kind of staying out of trouble, just trying to get points. But again, we talk about how things have changed here, Eric. Oliver Askew coming in with a 60-point advantage, down to 34 points, and he's going to see it probably going down another 8 to 10 points again to 24 or so, as he currently runs in third spot. Rinus VeeKay in the lead, and it just happens that easy. One weekend in these double headers, you do not have a great weekend, you're letting everybody else catch right back up.
Yeah, a lot of it is just, especially on the second day, you've got to really manage the rest of the balance of the weekend, and Askew certainly doing that. He's going to lose some more ground, but as they're running right now, third place is a lot better than he was yesterday in 17th place. He's not going to lose nearly as many points today as they're running right now, but it's still not over. We've probably got at least maybe a lap or two left here.
Top guy's not separated by much. You can see him there on the screen. Really, it's 2, 3, 4/10 of a second separating second, third, fourth, and fifth. And Kalen Frederick's been one of the drivers on the move. He was quicker by 0.2 of a second. He and Ming quicker than Malukas and Askew. And again, every time you roll up the straightaway, like here comes Calvin Ming, perfect example, getting tucked up under the wing there of Oliver Askew, looking to go for third. Calvin Ming has been aggressive all year long. He got into a couple of incidents early on in the season, had 2 incidents at Barber Motorsports Park. He's settled down a little bit since. And that's the key. That's what we get from these young drivers. They just get so over-aggressive. They demand so much of themselves in the opening couple of races of the year, when really they should be just focusing more on bringing the car home in one piece, as opposed to thinking that they should be out there winning races. Because normally, as we said earlier, it's that sophomore driver, the guy that's been here 2 or 3 years, who has a little more time in the car. We are definitely not done here, though, for second, third, and fourth. Malukas, Askew, and Ming. Wing to gearbox to wing to gearbox. They are all over each other.
Yeah, top 5 right now separated by less than 3 seconds. Anything can happen. A little bit of an off, a little bit of a track wide, just to have to pedal the car, grab the binders, anything for VeeKay or Malukas, and that puts Askew, Ming, and Frederick right back on top of the lead group.
Malukas does a pretty good job coming out of turn number 8, and that's an important corner. If you can get out of 8 cleanly and then get down through the carousel, where you are going to get a bit of aero wash. I don't care how much aero you take away from the car. Once you tuck underneath somebody in the carousel with a car that has any kind of aero, you're going to have trouble getting through there. And that's we've seen Askew just kind of fall back a little bit as they come through the carousel. But Malukas very good coming out of 8, which leads into the carousel, and that's given him just enough of a gap coming down into the Canada corner where he's able to escape that corner cleanly. Parker Thompson continues to push hard, as does Dev Gore, the 2 exclusive Autosport drivers currently running in the top 12. Jason Clooney done for the day in 16th position. Look at this run here. Calvin Ming right up on the gearbox now of Oliver Askew. That's going to be the run here. White flag flying, 1 more to go. Final lap here in USF 2000. Final lap on the racetrack. Rinus VeeKay with a 1.2 second advantage. Ming actually resets fast lap of the race, 2:10.163. Calvin Ming, I believe, passed for third. Calvin Ming able to go into third position. Great run down into turn number 1, and indeed the driver from Guyana from Pabst Racing has put himself on the podium. Can he hold back Oliver Askew? I would say yes, because Ming is the quickest driver on the racetrack now. There's your lead, though, coming out of 5. Askew going to do what he can to challenge back again. Again, final lap of the racetrack here for the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship powered by Mazda. Decent gap here for Rinus VeeKay to go back-to-back on race wins here at Road America. Anthony Martin was able to do that last year when he won the USF 2000 Championship, kind of took over the lead at that point. We'll see if VeeKay can do it to get himself back in the hunt here with Askew. VeeKay, Malukas, Askew, Ming, and Frederick, your fast 5. Thompson, Cole, Enders, Kaminsky, and Wojcik cap your top 10 last lap. Eric, final run through the kettle bottoms.
Great run right now for Oliver Askew, just trying to pick up the pieces from yesterday. Even though he's the bottom step of the podium, third place has got to feel a lot better. But is that, did Ming get around him there?
He is. Ming is into the third position. As we had said, let's see if Askew can maybe run him to the line, because they're out of Canada corner for the final time. Never know what's going to happen here. Just one mistake will put you off the racetrack in turn 14. No, oh, there it is.
Malukas goes around.
Malukas goes around. Just as I had said it, Malukas loops the car on the exit of 14. So Malukas throws it away here on the final corner of the racetrack. Just as I was saying, you never know what's going to happen. VeeKay across the line. He will win. Back-to-back jacks for the Dutchman here at Road America.
And Oliver Askew picking up the pieces in the final step on the podium. And Ming.
What did I say?
Up to second. What a great run for Ming.
Excellent run for Calvin Ming coming back to second place, Eric. You are correct. Oliver Askew benefiting there. But we had said earlier, sometimes you learn more from your failures than you do your successes. This is going to be a tough pill to swallow for a driver who showed so well, David Malukas. Final lap, final corner. Got the car around. We've seen so many guys have trouble over in turn 15. He looped it, trying to make sure he kept Ming at bay. He falls all the way down into, I believe, what will be a 14th place finish for the young driver out of Chicago. Tough one for David Malukas, who is running a strong second. Rinus VeeKay, though, will take the win by 1.6 seconds. Calvin Ming, an absolutely masterful run as he was able to first pick off Thompson, then Frederick, then Askew, and then getting a little gift there on the final lap as Calvin Ming ends up taking second. Oliver Askew, as you had said, Eric, a fantastic run back into third spot after that DNF yesterday, minimizing the point damage here in the championship. Frederick back up into fourth. Parker Thompson rounding out your top 5. Bottom line here is it's back-to-back jacks for Rinus VeeKay here at Road America. His first 2 wins of his Mazda Road to Indy career have brought him closer to the lead here in this USF 2000 Championship. Fantastic run for all the drivers here today.